Mark Skaar on 103.7 The Fox. This is a Skaar card. Proud to bring in from the Avey Grouws Band, Jeni Grouws. Jeni, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on your program. I really appreciate it.
I know. For those that don't know, Jeni has a long history herself in radio and has pursued the musical dream. And congratulations on that. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think you and I have known each other for many years. I was in broadcasting for 16 years, and last fall finally decided I'm going to go forward full-time with this band that we'd been working on, and it turned out to be maybe a wise decision. So far, so good, even despite COVID, right?
Right, exactly. And so we'll get into those little house concerts that you've been doing that so many people love in a little while. But I wanted to talk about, Jeni, first of all, how you met Chris Avey.
Yeah. So Avey Grouws Band is Chris Avey, Jeni Grouws. That's kind of where we came up with the, really creative title for the band. But it became about naturally because I was actually speaking to a communications course as a broadcaster at St. Ambrose College back I believe it was the end of 2015 or 2016. And I was staying at the Isle of Capri Hotel because it was cheap on Hotwire. And I thought there's got to be live music. Since I've got to be there early in the morning, there's got to be something here on a Thursday night. And it turns out that there were Thursday night blues jams at this place that at the time was called Muddy Waters. And it was right across the street from the hotel. How could I not go? So I went across the street, and I watched for a minute, and then I put my name in, and the guys finally brought me up. I think it was toward the end of the night. I might have been last. But Chris Avey, as well as our drummer, Brian West, and then Chris Avey's brother, Mark, were up there playing. And when I got up, it was right. Like sometimes the universe throws things in your way that you go, oh, this is really perfect. And on a funny note, Mark, that you might enjoy as a broadcaster, afterwards I sat with the guys and I said, you guys are really good. You're really good. You can't just be a jam band. And one of the guys, the brother, Mark Avey, looked at me and said, well, we used to be in a band called the Avey Brothers, but we don't do it anymore. And I looked at them and I said, you jerks. Now, I don't know these guys. And they all shocked. They looked at me and I said, you were supposed to be on my radio show as my musical guest about 3 months ago, and you stood me up. I had to fill 20 minutes of time. And the one brother said, I told you we had an interview. And the Chris Avey said, we were in Canada. I was tired. So it was funny. We had actually might have had a connection earlier, but it just didn't happen. So in some ways, I felt like it was kind of destined to happen. We would meet someday, and that's how we met. Pretty naturally, honest.
So basically, it was like karaoke night, except instead of playing with a recorded something or other, you have a live band in front of you or around you.
Yep, a jam night is really cool. It's actually one of the things I love best about the blues is, in the blues world, there's general structures that you can veer off of, and then you become more of a rock band. But we know what they are, and we know what the songs are, and so you can get up at a blues jam across the country or across the globe, frankly, and get up, and you can say, all right, slow blues, key of E, or whatever, and that's what I did. And so people just followed what I sang and gave them solos when they needed to, and so it's such a fun, creative way to work with people that you've never played with. And that's probably one of the reasons I love the blues the most, is it really gives you an opportunity to connect with other musicians at things like these, yeah.
Talking with Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band. Now let's back up. Who would you say are your vocal influences?
Oh, good question. Vocal influences. Well, you're going to laugh because I'm in a roots rock band now, right? So we clearly our influences are blues and rock, and but you would probably not be surprised if you heard me to hear that my influences really go back to like Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Van Morrison. Those are the ones that I grew up. But my dad's been in radio since 1966, and he was in country radio at the time when country was sort of just getting its grassroots legs. And so I grew up listening to Crystal Gale and Dolly Parton and all of these women that I thought were really amazing, Loretta Lynn. And it wasn't until later that I really started having my ears and eyes open to people like Mahalia Jackson and Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald. And I was really moved by the sounds and the tones that these women made. And earlier I was moved by the sounds and the stories told by someone like Dolly Parton, who's an incredible writer. So I think when you have that sort of roots background of country and rock and blues and soul and things like that, it makes for an interesting mix. And I think most of us, you would probably agree, Mark. I mean, you've been a musician too. You know, I think people back in the day had only one genre that they listened to. Now we listen to everything.
Yep.
So we really get a fuller, I think, more fleshed out idea of what music can be, and I think that makes it exciting.
Talking with Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band, and of course you were in other bands leading up to this project.
Well, I had two bands that I was a part of prior to Avey Grouws Band. One was an all-female, old-time music band called Done Doing Laundry.
Nice.
We were all moms that were just looking to play some music. And then I was also in a part of a band here in Decorah where I live called Absolute Hoot. And we did that for a number of years, mainly a cover band, but we did do some originals. But they really are the ones that helped me wet my whistle in terms of what it's like to be a performer and to really interpret songs. So, yeah, I loved Absolute Hoot. They're a good time.
When did you pick up guitar?
Fair question. I was probably in high school when my youth pastor at my church in Fargo, North Dakota, taught me how to play like 3 chords so I could sing along, I believe, probably to Amy Grant or something. But so that was my introduction. But when I went to college, I went to the University of Iowa, met my husband there, and when I graduated, I won a scholarship that I didn't even know was possible from my department, and it was $1,000. And I didn't apply for it, so I got $1,000. And my husband, I was already married at the time, my husband and I looked at the money, and I was like, is it bad that I want to buy a guitar? He said no. So we ran over to a guitar shop in Iowa City, and I bought my first guitar, a Taylor, and I still have it, my acoustic Taylor. And I love it, and that is honestly what got me starting to play. But it really took years for me to kind of settle into wanting to play for myself. For a long time, I really liked and preferred when people played for me. But now I'm playing pretty much on everything. So,
how many guitars do you have now?
You know, I have my Taylor acoustic. I have another little Art and Luthier acoustic that's good for playing around with my kids, and we all like to play on it. I also have my Gretsch, my electric. I really enjoy that one. That's a newer one I have.
Beautiful guitar.
It is. I think it's beautiful, and it suits me. My dad had a Gretsch when I was growing up, and I used to look at his Gretsch acoustic and think that's so cool. And so it's kind of history for me too. But other than that, I'm not really a guitar fiend like Chris Avey is. He's the monster on the guitar. I mean, he's the guy that can solo. People have said he's one of the best, contemporary guitarists we have out there, and I think he would never say that because he's not that kind of guy, but he really is incredible. But he also, I think, likes his guitars as much as he likes women, and so he always has one new of each. He always seems to have someone new in his life and a new guitar. So we do tease him that he's had more, I think, more guitars than he's had relationships, but they're probably close.
We're talking with Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band, and the first thing you put out was an EP called Road to Memphis.
Yes. We put that out. We actually won the Iowa. So we became a band on January 1st, 2017. We did a New Year's Eve show in Decorah, and it was Chris Avey Band with guest Jeni Grouws. And that night went so well that we decided, all right, this is a band. So January 1st, 2017, we became a band. June of 2017, we won the Iowa Blues Challenge, which was really fast for us, but it happened. And part of that was that we won recording time at Junior's Motel in Otho, Iowa. And so we thought, well, let's do this. Let's get our original music together and put an EP down as long as we've got the free studio time. So we did it, and it came out at the beginning of 2018. And yeah, that's been a good album for us. Of course, we love the songs on there, and we look back and think, oh, we wish we had done this. You know, playing more together as a band teaches you how to better do your own songs. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But we hadn't performed that much before we recorded. So we recorded, we like it, but it's fun to do those songs now and to see how they've changed.
And now the full length, The Devil May Care, is out.
It is. That came out on March 20th, right in the midst of all of this quarantine madness, right?
Right.
And we thought this is going to be the death knell, really, because we put in, I mean, $10,000. I mean, it is not an easy and cheap process. And we recorded at Catamount in Cedar Falls, and we had they just were so great with us. And here we had put all this time and money and effort into putting this album out, and now we're under quarantine. But we did a live stream for our release, and within 4 weeks, shockingly, Mark, our album hit first number 13, then number 10 on the Billboard Blues album chart. So good things have happened since the album came out. So I guess the thing I can be excited about is that the album speaks for itself.
Thrilling silver linings.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. I know I'm such a Pollyanna. like this, in some ways, this has been a really uniquely intense learning experience. This is not how you would normally release an album. We're supposed to be touring our album. We were supposed to be in Seattle and Portland and Florida and Indiana and Tennessee and all these places with our album, and we can't tour. So what do you do when you can't tour? We could just give up, but that's not our Iowa way. So we just keep doing online streams every week, and honestly, it's been the most remarkable thing. We sit there and goof around and play music on a Friday night and a Sunday afternoon, and we have people that have been joining us from Wales and Germany and England and the U.S. and all over the U.S. I mean, we've met people because of this. So I will not put down the experience we've had. It's not what we chose, but it's going okay.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool, and every once in a while, because I try and post as many of them as I can. Sometimes I catch them, halfway through, but I'm like, I'll put it on. And somebody will ask me, those guys are really good. How can I? Because you do the watch party, but it's kind of weird because it's different.
They can't interact with us. Yeah,
right. So there's a learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we encourage people to share it, but I get it that if they share a watch party, I think the best thing I've found is if I copy the link and share it on a page without hosting it as a watch party, then people, when they click on it, they come right to ours. And so, but it took me months to learn that too. I didn't know. So it's all a learning curve, but it's definitely one that we've been excited to have. I will say, people have been exceedingly kind and very receptive to the album. And now that we're up for some big awards, it's even more exciting because people want to find out who we are.
Now, let's talk about the songwriting. It's primarily you and Chris, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Kind of how that works is Chris sends me a lick because they all live in the Quad Cities. So they live 3 hours and 2 minutes from where I live. I know this because I drive it every weekend. 3 hours and 2 minutes. So it's not easy just to sit down and write together. So he'll send me some guitar licks or some feelings that he's having, just like kind of fleshing out a sound. And he'll just send them via text. And when I get them, they either hit me or they don't, if that makes any sense.
It sure does.
Yeah. So the ones that hit me, I sit down and write immediately. Right now we have 10 new songs we've almost fully fleshed out for another new album. Right. And those have come just because of getting the sound. But really, for the most part, I sit down and write the lyrics out. Chris and I tried to sit down and write together once, but I realized I'm too bossy.
No.
At least myself, Mark. I mean, I think I see it as such, it's like my baby. Like, I have children, I have 3 daughters, and I see these songs like my baby. So if he throws out something that doesn't fit what I think this baby is being formed to be, then I shut it down, and I don't want to do that to him because he writes his own great music. He's got some of the songs on the EP that he wrote, like I'd Rather Be Drunk and Dig What You Do. I mean, that's on our new album. He really wrote those, but we've decided sort of as a group that that instead of saying who wrote lyrics and who wrote music, that he and I just agree that we wrote the songs, because generally together it just makes more sense. We both wrote them, you know?
People do say songs are like children. You can't pick one. You can't pick a favorite necessarily.
No, never. In fact, someone will say, what's your favorite one? Like, are you kidding? That's impossible, because they're favorites for different reasons.
As far as lyrically, I would imagine that your main responsibility is probably that, maybe some arrangements. And I love arranging. Lyrics can be like pulling teeth, because if you're like me and you're a perfectionist, oofta.
Yeah, I love that you said oofta. You're my favorite. Yes. Yeah, lyrics are difficult, and I think that's why I get so bossy about it. You know, I guess I say bossy. I don't know why we as women always do this to ourselves. You know, maybe I should just say I'm exacting. I am exacting. I know what I want the song. Once I feel the song, I know what it's going to be about, and I know what the story is that I want to tell, and I don't want to tell it with trite lyrics. I want to say something. I want it to express something. If it's funny, I want it to be funny. If it's heartfelt and moody, I want it to express that. And so I absolutely am a fan of thesaurus and rhyming dictionaries, because I know what I want to say, but I don't want to say it with the easiest words every single time. Mm-hmm. I want people to feel like it's a piece of poetry when possible. But sometimes the songs are simple, and if there's a simple song, you got to let it be simple. You can't overwork something. So it's kind of a trick depending on what you're wanting to say and how you want to say it. But yeah, I do think it is a craft. It's not as easy as you would want it to be.
Right.
And then every once in a while, one is that easy, and it comes right out.
No doubt. There is no one way.
What's that?
There is no one way to do it.
There is no one way, and you have to kind of be open to it. I've heard, I'm not very, like, metaphysical. I know there's a lot of people that will say, sometimes the song just comes through me, and, like, okay, I get what they're saying. That's just not my nature. I'm a little more practical than that. But, like, sometimes the song feels easy to me, and sometimes the song feels like I'm pulling teeth. And there are songs, Mark, that I've written and will never appear on our album because they just don't fit what we do. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like, they're just different, yeah. But I needed to write them. They needed to get out.
Do you typically have a melody line first or a subject first?
I tend to go with the melody line from Chris if he sends me something that feels like something to me, and then I come up with the lyrics to suit it. That said, the other was about 4 weeks ago, I was driving home from one of our weekends of streaming, and the sun was going down, and I had just spent the night unable to sleep. You know, we're all living in this very sort of angst-ridden time. Like, we're feeling the stress of life, and I understand why we're feeling it. And I was still awake at 5:30 in the morning, and I heard the birds chirping, and I saw the sun coming up. And so as I was driving home and saw the sun going down, I was thinking about how I felt that morning, and instantly a tune came to my head, and I started writing lyrics to it. And in fact, I just posted those lyrics on Facebook a couple days ago, 3 days ago, without saying what it was. It was just the lyrics became a song, and now we've written the song. And so there are times when the melody comes first, because I started humming it. I don't know why I started humming it, but it felt right. And it just fit with the feeling that I was having over having sleepless nights and feeling the stress of the world right now. So now that's a song. So I can't say that there's one way if it's lyrics or melody. Usually it's melody and then I add the lyrics, but sometimes it hits me the other way around.
Be honest, did you pull over?
Oh, I didn't actually write it. So, yeah, totally fair. No, I didn't So what I did is on my phone, I have something called Tape-A-Talk. It's just a recording system. It was on my phone, I think, when I got it, or I downloaded it. I don't remember. But I use it constantly. If anybody got my phone, I would be mortified. Because not only do I not keep a lock on my phone, but I have like 87 tracks, and you can hear me in a car. It's sitting next to me. I hit record, and I start singing or humming a line. Mark, I've done it in the grocery store by the cheese section. I'm bent over my cart, and I'm humming something that came to my head, and I know people think I'm crazy. I'm sure they think I'm crazy, but that Tape-A-Talk is my life.
True confession, since we're doing true confessions. Yes. There was a time a couple of friends of mine came over to my place, and I had a stack of cassettes. They put the cassette in, they hit play, and it's me humming. That was the reaction. And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, what is this? It's just some song idea. And I don't play an instrument per se, but yeah.
Yeah, but you can hear it in your head.
Sure.
It's funny how that works. So I have 2 dogs and a cat, and every night I have to take my 2 dogs out to go to the bathroom. And there is a song that I can't even sing it for you right now. It only comes to me, and it's the same one every time.
Wow.
When I take my dogs out to go to the bathroom, and I hum it because it's night. I always take my dogs out about 11:30. It's late. Nobody's out. I live in a town of 8,000 people on a good day, and so it's quiet. Everybody's asleep, and I hum this song. Someday it will become a song, but you are the only person that's going to know that it came to me while my dogs are pooping. Well, you and your radio audience, if that ends up on, right? But that's the thing, you can't say where a song's going to come, and you have to, because I've never recorded it, Mark. I need what you did. I need to record it on my phone so that I don't forget it.
Yes, I would recommend that. And then lock it.
And then lock it, because now I just forget it every night. And by the way, this has been 2 or 3 years of humming this song. This is not a month or two. This is 2 or 3 years, and I've still never recorded it. I don't know why.
So you guys have been a band for 3.5 years, and you've done all this stuff. How many gigs a year do you suppose you've done?
Well, I think, so interesting question now, because now it's been 0 since March. But
you can count the ones online.
Oh, well, last year I can tell you that we did about 200 shows.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's our full-time job, so we got to keep busy, otherwise you can't pay the bills. So we did about 200 shows last year. And then this year I had anticipated that we would do about the same, but just our income would be higher because we can command a slightly higher rate now. But it's been fairly few shows, really all we've been doing are Friday and Sundays on streaming. In August we did say yes to a couple of outdoor shows, and those, it's so strange to be doing them, but it is exciting. But I have no idea. I mean, once the cold weather hits, I think we're going to be online for the rest of this year, and I think we won't actually really be performing again until 2021, and that's just the reality of the situation.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, right? It might be summer 2021. I do know this, that, whereas we used to play more locally, we still like to play locally because I like to come home to my family. But we definitely have tours that are supposed to be set, and we're afraid to set them right now.
Sure.
Because I don't know if it's financially smart to set a Florida tour, which we need to do. Again, it's definitely a place that is ready to have us. But if I set it for February, will things be back to normal? I don't know. So I'm a little lost right now. I'm a little stuck with what we do and how to plan for the future. And I'm a planner, Mark. I like to plan. I like to set a goal and go for it. And I don't know what I'm reaching for right now. So it's a weird time, but honestly, I don't feel any more bad for us than I do for any of your audience. Everybody's having a hard time right now. Nobody knows what the future is. So we're kind of all in it together,
Right. To coin the ultimate cliche that's been going on for the last 5 months or so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then of course we have to, you got the poor venues and all that stuff.
I mean, venues are going belly up. The place that we used to play in Nashville just announced that they're done for good. They can't sustain this. They're literally closing their doors. Hopefully, some of the Seattle places that we were supposed to go this fall can wade through this and stay open, and we'll come out next year. But we're losing places to play as well. And I think sometimes people look at music and think of it as a frivolous thing. I understand it doesn't seem as important as being a doctor and things like that. But what we also forget is that music is a part of what keeps our days moving. It makes us feel better when we're having a rough one. It makes us feel engaged. It gives us a sense of joy. It helps us release tears and emotion when we're feeling really stressed. It helps us get out anger when we're feeling really ticked off. Mm-hmm. I mean, music has a place in our society, and these venues know that. These venues can't thrive without music, and the venues can't thrive without an audience. So until we can get back together as a group, there's going to be a lot of venues and musicians that are going to shut down, never to come back again. And that's just the hard truth. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll get through this. I feel like I am tenacious enough that I will keep doing whatever we need to do as a group to keep pushing forward. But you just never know. Talk to me in a year. We'll see what we're doing.
We'll have you back for sure.
Yeah, right.
Jenny, if people want to find your music, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to AveyGrousBand.com or Facebook, Avey Grouws Band. And I'll tell you, one of the best ways to check us out right now, and I would beg and plead for any of you hearing this before September 5th, if you go to bluesblastmagazine.com, which we also have a link on our website and on Facebook, we are up for an industry award. We couldn't be more excited that we've been nominated for new artist debut album. And what turns out is it's an industry nomination, but then it's a fan vote for who wins. So we really want to represent Iowa. We are the only Iowa band that I can think of that's been nominated for one of these awards in years. If I can't even tell you when the last one was. So it's kind of a pride of Iowa thing too, and all you do is it's one vote per email. So if you go to AveyGrousBand.com, you can check out our tunes, and you can also vote for us at the same time, which we would be really grateful if you did that.
For sure. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. You know that?
You're going to make me tear up now. That means a lot, Mark. Thank you.
Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band. Oh, well, thank you.
I am.
Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band, our guest on the Skaar card tonight. Thank you so much. Well, continue all the best.
Thank you so much, and thank you for continuing to do what you do in the world of radio and music. You broadcasters are a vital part of what makes this world go around, and I know sometimes we all forget it because it's just so easy to have you there. So thank you for what you do.
My pleasure. For Jeni Grouws from the Avey Grouws Band, I'm Mark Skaar on 103.7 The Fox. This is the Skaar Card, the new classic rock that rocks.